All right, guys, welcome back to the channel. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. Now, we're back out with another video, and today we're going to make good on Elon's promise, or try to make good on Elon's promise, when he was first hyping up full self-driving, saying that he could drive from LA to New York with no problem, which is great, or even summon the car from LA to New York without a problem. Now, one of the things I thought about when he said that immediately was, how is he going to get into New York City? The tunnels, the bridges, the tolls, all that. How is he going to do that? How is he going to accomplish that with autonomy when it's very much hard enough to do as a person sitting in traffic, and again, just the sporadic and erratic nature of New York City roadways, right? So today we're going to jump into it. We're actually going to make our trip and make our way to New York City and see what that looks like, see what full self-driving can do and what it cannot do. We've got about a 20-minute ride from this particular location. Should be pretty straightforward. But again, once we get to the tunnel, once we get to the actual city, we'll start to see perpetual construction. Perpetual construction, which is pretty much the thing that full self-driving is going to have to react to in real time, just as people try to react in real time to it. I'll obviously speed up some of the boring parts and then get us closer to New York City and see what that experience looks like, and we'll take our time there. Fingers crossed here that I don't get into any issues. I know we've got some videos already in New York City that don't do so well, but they do also do good in certain instances as well. So we'll see what happens and see what this particular route yields us. Nervous about this truck here. The car slows down a little bit because it thinks it's going to turn into this lane, and it did. So far so good. This is just the highway portion of it. This is I guess the easy part of it. It's about to get a lot more challenging as we get past the toll and get to a tighter confine in the form of the tunnel. In this particular instance, we're talking about the Lincoln Tunnel. Underwater tunnel, for those who are not familiar, underwater tunnel that goes between New Jersey and New York. 2 lanes for each direction. Sometimes 1 lane, depending on the condition of the tunnel. And it can get kind of crazy. As you see here, these lanes right here are also very tight right now. Lots of trucks, lots of buses. As you see the proximity sensors going off here on the screen, that should give you an indicator of how close cars are on this particular road. Again, hoping this is not our last drive on full self-driving beta. Hopefully the Plaid kit can survive this trip, and it can be successful. Success, in my opinion, would be that it makes it there safely with no harm to the car or harm to anyone else, with very few disengagements. But I know I am going to have to disengage for the actual tunnel, for the toll booth, that is. Does a good job recognizing those double lane lines for the easy pass versus the yellow and white lines as well, and doesn't try to follow the easy pass lane lines. You see the bus is a little bit over the lane line, doesn't try to overtake it. Very steep turn here. See how it does. Please don't go over the double yellow line. Trying not to disengage with the yoke. Good job slowing down aggressively. Okay. And there is the actual tunnel. and the entrance to the tunnel and the toll booth. So I'm going to probably disengage just because I can get into a faster lane to get into the tunnel. I'm going to disengage here so I can try to get into a faster lane. Person let me over nicely. I believe I need to be in. The person's not looking. I believe I need to be in this lane over here behind this truck. And as you see, this is just chaos, pure chaos. The amount of cars packed in here is just madness. This would be a technological feat if AI could navigate this. And this is why I stress that Elon should have started here. And look at this guy cutting me off. He should have started here with full self-driving beta, because if he can conquer this, he can conquer anything. But this is an absolute scientific exploration of traffic, funneling all the traffic into a narrow tunnel. I'll brighten this up a bit because the tunnel gets a little dark, just so you can see the visuals. But otherwise, I'm going to allow the car to do its thing once we get into a lane, because drivers are very aggressive, extremely aggressive here to try to get into this tunnel. And I don't want the car to react negatively to someone doing something very aggressive. So again, you see here, this is where, if you see on the line, even on the screen, you can see it. The cones denote 2 different lanes into the tunnel, and all these cars have to funnel again into 2 lanes. So this side funnels into 1 lane, that side funnels into 1 lane, and they're effectively 2 lanes that you drive through in this tight tunnel. All the while, it's a very, very tight lane as well, with little rubbery dividers in between. Those who are familiar, you know all about it. Nothing new there. Those who don't know about it, I'm just trying to give you some context as to what this traffic condition is like going into New York City, into the Lincoln Tunnel. And just for those who might be asking, there are actually 3 points of entry and exit for the tunnel. And sometimes they use 2 to go in, sometimes they use 2 to go out. In this particular instance, they're using 2 to go in, 1 here, but each of the tunnels represents 2 lanes. Keep an eye on the proximity sensors as we go through this tunnel, or just as we get through traffic in general in New York City or even here, just to understand the proximity of where cars are and how people drive in this particular area. This will give you a good sense of how tight it is. It can be nerve-wracking for people to drive in the city. Some people don't even drive. They like to use public transportation because they're not capable of handling some of the stress that's induced from driving this tight and with other cars. And now it looks like it's getting a little bit worse because these 2 lanes are now being funneled into now 1 lane, because it looks like there's some construction going on here. And we have a 3rd lane here funneling into this traffic condition. So very, very complex stuff. These cones are temporary, so sometimes they can change the pattern depending on what they're doing in terms of traffic conditions and where they're routing it. So again, very, very complex stuff that I think, again, should be a focal point for full self-driving. Conquering this, again, you can do pretty much anything. Keep an eye on those cameras as well, so you can see what's left and right of me that you can't see through the camera's perspective. And again, those proximity sensors start to go off. So now we're going into the tunnel. It's now funneled into 1 lane, and now re-engage and see what the car can do here. I have it set to the actual limit, and super dark in here, so I'll brighten it up a lot. Super tight. Again, look at those proximity sensors going off. We're super close to the wall. Autopilot generally does a good job of keeping the right distance here. So I'm not too concerned about this. It's that sometimes there are some rubber bumpers in the middle between the double yellow lines that sometimes the mirrors can get close to. And since there's no sensors on the mirrors, you may actually have a collision with the mirror on one of those, depending on what, how close you are. Looks like they opened up the second lane to the right. You'll start to see some cars coming over here. If I could take the screen down a little bit, there you go. Hopefully that's better. So far, so good to the tunnel. Getting out of the tunnel could also be a little bit challenging, but we're not going too far, luckily. Again, we just got to be aware of the aggression of the drivers. If you think about full self-driving, that was not the right thing to do. If you think about full self-driving, being a teenager, a little bit of a timid driver, New York City is definitely the place that might freak them out, and it will also, again, allow the car to react differently because of the aggression of the drivers. Very, very extremely aggressive drivers, livery drivers for taxis and personal drivers, personal cars, Ubers, Lyfts, etc. All try to get from one place to the other, drop somebody off, pick somebody up, and it just gets very, very aggressive very quickly. Now the car wants me to turn, so I guess, I don't know, I guess I can't make that maneuver. So see that? Here go the little bumpers I was talking about. I'll keep this on. It visualizes them. It's trying to make the turn. I'm going to disengage. It keeps trying to make this turn over these bumpers, and that's not the right thing to do. So I'm going to just keep it off until we can make the right turn. Maybe we should have been in that lane, and that's fine. We can reroute accordingly. But it should not be trying to go over these bumpers under any circumstance, because that could be nasty. I'm going to re-engage. And again, this is sort of temporary construction, so the car has to be aware of this. Sorry about the brightness. There we go. All right. All kinds of crazy construction. Let's see what it decides to do. It doesn't know what to do. I got to go this way. It hesitated a little bit and people are behind me. Lanes pouring into other lanes. It's not going to re-engage right now. See if I re-engage right here, what happens. Wants to go straight. It's supposed to make a right. But this is a turning lane as well, and I'm not even engaged. I apologize. Here we go. Now it wants to make the right. All right, here we go. It's a double turning lane. Hopefully I can make it. Now it wants to go straight, even though the signal's on. That's not good. Turn the signal off. Now it's going straight. I think this is turn only. Okay, I think I can go straight here. I wanted to go that way. We can't go that way. Yeah, so not really ready for this. Really not ready for this. The terrain, the roads. I'll re-engage here, see if it can make this right turn up here. Just not really prepared for this. Lane markings are barely visible. You can't see anything. This is the nature of New York. Seemingly wanting to go closer to this curb. I don't like that. Now it's straightening out a little bit. So far, full self-driving is not really ready for the sporadic nature of New York road conditions, I think, going both in the tunnel and coming out of the tunnel. Although it did want to get me in the right lane, so I will give it that. It did try to get me in the right lane ahead of time, but it didn't really seem to know what to do once it got out of there, because I think it's looking for the proper road markings to help give it confidence to know where it's going. And I don't think it's the right, it can read all the signage here. Relevant for road work, relevant for certain turns only, certain directions. It can't read those just yet, or at least act on them if it can read them. Green light up here. Let's see what happens. Needs to make this turn. Pretty jumpy. Sees people. I'm gonna let it do its thing. Sees a car. Sees the cab. Good job not going with the car, but going in the right lane. That's a good job. Steering wheel is having an episode. I'm giving it a little bit of an acceleration just to give it some confidence to move forward. This car is trying to cut us off. It sees that, it stops and puts on the brake to let it go. How nice of you, Tesla. How nice of you to let this person go. Better than me. I'll let this person go, inching up a little more. I'm gonna just go. It tells me to go. Officer's telling me to go. I'll let it go. It doesn't really know what to do. I'm trying to keep a hand on the wheel and not disengage. Now it seems a little bit more confident. Again, I have to give it some acceleration because it's trying to slow down a little bit here. So I'm just giving it some acceleration to go forward. There's just so much going on right now. I think it's just trying to compute everything. And now the light is turning yellow, and now it's red. Hopefully it stops. We're blocking the crosswalk here. That's not good. So yeah, this is New York. This is New York City. This is the amount of things that full self-driving would have to conquer. People, pedestrians, cyclists, cars, police officers directing traffic, all kinds of stuff. Lots of calculations and math going on right now for the car, I'm sure. And bus only lanes, that doesn't really recognize the bus only lane, at least from right here. Seems like it wants to go straight into the bus only lane, so I might need to take over. And we're not going too far, so I may cut it off a little bit early. I don't want to endanger anyone. I don't want to endanger the car itself. I don't want it to do anything erratic and just react. But yeah, so far this is what it's like. So again, Tesla, if you're listening, you should definitely seed this area heavily. Now more people are coming. Now I can go. Let's see what it does. It's trying to go straight. There's a car next to me. It's trying to evade this car. I'm going to disengage just so I can take over here and get it in the lane safely. So it doesn't really know how to react to these drivers. And these are really, really aggressive drivers, probably some of the most aggressive outside of, some other countries. I will try to re-engage here. Not allowing me. It doesn't want to let me engage right now. Let me get inside the lane fully and let that hopefully help engage and see what happens. Still nothing? How about now? Nope. All right, now. There we go. So it's a bike lane and a bus lane. It has to recognize both. I think it at least is staying in this lane, which is good. Not infringing on the bike lane, which is right about there. And we have someone directing traffic, so we can't really drive in this lane. So again, it has to see this truck and see the person directing traffic in order for it to know not to go down that lane. But it instinctively wants to go down that lane, this particular lane right here, which it cannot because there's someone blocking off traffic. Try to go a little bit further to see what happens. See what happens. Now it wants to get over. I'll confirm. Let it change lanes properly. across the crosswalk. Police officers are here. We'll go a little faster. Again, bus only lane should not be here. I have to get out of this lane. It just doesn't know how to recognize these bus only lanes. Wait for the message to clear. Times Square. Times Square is here. I'll brighten it up just a bit. And we're in Times Square on full self-driving beta. This is pretty cool. When you're riding with Tesla in beta, you always feel like you're on the precipice of the bleeding edge or the precipice of human technology, AI technology, which is a fun feeling to have. Obviously, you want to be safe. You want to be conscious of your surroundings. But again, this is a really good feeling to know that, we're here doing this. We're not official testers of Tesla per se, but we are customers who are using our data, using our time to help provide them with more valuable information to make full self-driving better. So again, just on the bleeding edge of technology. No one else is really doing this in terms of giving it to the hands of customers, employees, or people who can do things like Waymo and even Mobileye. It's not really in the hands of customers. So this is a good thing to be able to give some data. Again, I can't get in this lane, and it keeps trying to get into this lane. Not a good look. But yeah, it's a good feeling. Let me know what you think in the comments. Let me know your thoughts on full self-driving for New York City. Should Tesla concentrate more here? Should they put more effort here? Should they put a full self-driving headquarters in New York City just to evaluate, map, and test what these scenarios look like, and add that to the predictive models and to the neural net to make it accelerate faster? Again, these are the scenarios that if it can conquer well, I think it can do pretty much anything. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Until the next time, enjoy your day, enjoy your Tesla.